Greetings, seekers of holistic knowledge. So, in today's Presence podcast episode, we're talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and what does it mean for your future? VijeV, you're an artificial intelligence expert, and I've brought you on to help discuss this topic.
Thank you. And as an expert, I would like to say that the video that you're seeing of Deepak is actually real. He's not a robot. He's just speaking like a robot. Okay, but he's actually a real guru. He's real, and that's what AI is all about, is trying to mimic humanity in some form so it can help us achieve goals. That's what AI is. It's supposed to be artificial version of the human mind. And the way we're going about it and the way we're developing it is supposed to help us get better. It's supposed to help us improve and progress. But somehow something went wrong because we're building hell. What do you think, Deepak? Do you think we're building hell?
So, the first thing I wanted to discuss is like, what is AI, right? What is it actually doing? And it's basically able to mimic human intelligence in some applications. So it's definitely going to take away the requirement of some humans or some of the work that humans used to do. And I think that's really what we want to sort of uncover today, right?
As it is now, it's glorified automation, right? It's glorified automation. It is to take menial, tedious, repetitive tasks and put it through a computer so that it can just do it at 500 times more efficient. It's not going to make mistakes, and it'll make life easier. That is essentially what automation is. You try to take something that is repetitive and just let it happen on its own, so you don't have to keep managing it by hand every single time. And artificial intelligence is sort of an expansion of that, taking multiple variations of automation and being able to replicate that through humanity's way of living. So think of when someone is constantly typing, you need someone to type for you. AI can do that. You can speak and the AI will type for you. AI will be able to understand what you're saying in human language form, convert that to text, and write a letter for you in the format that you want. But they can go further. It won't just write a letter for you, it can maybe respond emails for you in the way you respond because it trains with you. It knows how you write emails. So it starts to train and it's able to write that email for you. So when you are too busy, it becomes your secretary and emails on your behalf. And then it also checks your taxes and sees what do you owe, and then it'll automate that for you. And then it'll check with your fridge and find out that you're actually short of a few fruits because your children eat certain fruits, and it'll pre-order it for you. Then it finds out that your battery is about to die on your electric car. It does a pre-check and pre-orders so that the car's people or whoever's maintaining the car will come and replace the battery for you. And you didn't even realize it. They just did it. Over the air updates and software to update things that happen in the background so that it gives us, the humans, a way to do the things that we want to do that's more creative, that's more humanity like. So that if someone takes care of taxes and all of these repetitive stuff, I can work on art and music and expression and meeting people and going to the beach. At least that's the dream. That is the fundamental societal dream of having AI. But it's not really going in that direction because we're automating the wrong things. But that is essentially what it is.
So I wanted to touch on something you raised there, like something that was quite important. So artificial intelligence is maybe automation taken to another level. But you mentioned something about it needs to be trained. And that's, I think, something important to understand is you train the artificial intelligence software by feeding it data and giving it feedback. So it then learns what is optimal and then starts applying maybe it's acquired knowledge and knowledge from other data sources, etc., and comes up with better and efficient ways of doing something. And I think you see this obviously the best way to see it is in artificial intelligence playing chess, or that Chinese game called Go, which is even more complex than chess. And in the 90s, I remember, like early 90s, the artificial intelligence chess bots were very poor, and they were like easily beaten by the grandmasters. But Deep Blue in the late 90s or early 2000s was the first AI chess bot to beat the world's best chess player at the time, Gary Kasparov. And and that was a big leap, right, in the artificial intelligence game. But I guess my point is that they've taken that ability to learn and apply creative ways that even humans didn't think of, right? Um, so if you look at chess and AI and how it's changed chess at the in the last 20 years, like Magnus Carlsen, the best chess player in the world at the moment, learned on AI, on very good AI chessbots. And he comes up with these crazy moves at times that make no sense to a human. But because he's understood a bit more about how the chessbots have gone about it, they've expanded the human ability to play chess because they've come up with ideas that humans would never do, would never come up with. But the chess engine was able to do that by being fed so much data and then applying its own, I don't want to say thinking, but it applied its own models to find the most efficient way to win. So it wasn't really thinking, but it was like,
As a predictive model. Yeah. Yeah. So if you obviously imagine yourself, you learn how to play chess, and then you have someone else who learned how to play a certain way, and then you feed that learning from 1,000 masterminded chess players. So you have 1,000 different moves and variations from 1,000 players who all play chess well. It can then pick and choose the best moves from all of that and start coming up with new innovative ways, because just by the process of learning and all the logical connections between all of these players, it starts to create new connections. And in a way, that is a learning model. That's what training means, is that when it trains on the way you play, it can then train to play against you. It knows, then it starts to know your patterns, it starts to know how you play, and then the chess engine can then figure out and predictively try and stump you and get you to play something that you might have not played before, simply by deceit or by through a predictive model that you weren't expecting by learning from you.
so taking that application, if we use artificial intelligence in the examples that you use to improve our everyday life, like it's going to help me do my taxes better, it's going to help me order food better, it can actually come up with better ways of doing your taxes and maybe save you more money than if you were to go to a consultant because it's got fed data of millions and millions of tax submissions, and it knows the best ones, the most efficient ones, and it knows how to do your taxes more efficient than anyone else, or buy the best fruit and buy it at the best prices, or order at the right times for a whole bunch. So it can significantly improve.
But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that, right? So artificial intelligence is not just buying the right fruits and buying the food; it's buying the right food components because it knows your eating habits, right? So it knows what kind of like it knows you're a vegan, it knows this person's a vegetarian and that person's a pescatarian, and then it buys accordingly. It also knows that Mondays you like this. It also knows that you are susceptible to dairy. So it takes all that out and builds the best foods with and without components that actually fits your routines. Like on mornings on Mondays you prefer this, Wednesday evenings you prefer that, and it starts to not just find the right components. It's also able to be your chef and be able to cook the food. Now imagine now the robot, once it's already done the buying, it starts to make the food for you. It starts to make a cake or starts to make lasagna. And that's the kind of stuff AI would get into. So where Alfred would be the future Alfred, Batman's Alfred, would be an AI that'll take care of you in many ways. And not just an emotional support, it's physical support, financial support. It's also your bodyguard. It's also your tax consultant. And all of that stuff all in one. And that's sort of what people are working towards.
So that is the dream, right, VG? That is the actual dream. But now the problem, and problem number one is creative artist work getting stolen. So this is the problem that we've only had to deal with recently. So since generative AI took the world by storm, tools like ChatGPT can write stories, songs, or plays, but Stable Diffusion or DAL E2 can produce images of anything we can describe to them. And what's happening is the artists are not getting credit or payment for their work, but the AI companies and the AI engines are able to generate revenue by this images that they've created from other artists through AI. So explain that to me. This is a little bit convoluted and
It is an important aspect. You see, how do you learn? When you grow up, how did you learn? The first time you did something, what did you do? Oh, let's take an example. Let's take an example. Playing chess. When you learn to play chess, what did you do when you first learned chess?
well, I just played and I would lose, and then next time I would go and check what move I would lose on. Usually like quite early in the game, and I
And if you want to improve moves, what did you do? Like if you wanted to find out how other people would play it, what did you do?
well, luckily on chess.com you can get like an AI engine to help you. So it's got like a little simple game review tool that you use. So after each game, you go through the game review tool that's built into the to the platform I was using, and it will give you the best move at every time. So you can go and check, oh, this is where I made a mistake. What are the best moves? It can give you like two or three of the best moves, and you can play through that move. So you can like do a scenario and play through that move, and then that's what I would try to do in the next.
All right. So there are two types of learning that's going on, right? Number one is you learn through trial and error, where you try something, it doesn't work, you learn from that, improve, and incrementally improve and improve and improve. So your learning model is through trial and error, practice, practice, practice. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you also mentioned Magnus. So Magnus would have certain types of moves that he's learned, and you learn from him and other grandmasters. Ooh, look at how these guys do these moves. So what you're doing is you're learning by learning what others also did. Like when you're a child, you learn from your parents, the child learns from you as a parent. If you behave a certain way, if you speak a certain way, your children will replicate it. Because when they don't know much, the first thing that's easiest to do is to mimic. We mimic our surroundings. We mimic our adults. We mimic all the people that we trust or that's at least within our circle when we are children. So when you are kids and toddlers, all you can do is repeat and learn from others and then trial and error on yourself. So both of those learning models sort of carry on with you. One is learning from experience of others. The other one is experiencing it yourself, essentially. That's a learning model. That is how AI also learns. So basically, what philosophers, or at least from my perspective, philosophy, if you look at it philosophically, people are saying that AI has to take information from what humans have learned in order to become best as possible to help humans at it. There's no way AI can learn by just on its own. The learning has to happen through feedback and society and people and everything. So the difference now is instead of learning from 3 artists, which I might have learned from, maybe 10 at most, AI is getting it from a million other artists. And philosophically, that is what learning is. But financially speaking and morally speaking, it is seen as wrong because AI is just gobbling up artist data that are not being compensated for, but it's gearing up for AI companies to maximize their revenue and profit by taking all of this and giving somebody a tool that benefits financially, that's speaking, that benefits a company that's doing it. So those are the two problems.
The artist is not compensated, the user is benefited, right? Now they can get really cool art and it's a fraction of the price. And I mean, I've seen you use AI art quite extensively, right? Through the stories that you're writing and your website and a whole bunch of things. And you can get like three different options just with within like a few seconds, right, of writing a description. You get like three different options. You can choose one, you can refine it, you can get, I mean, that can cost thousands of dollars potentially if you were to get a real person to do all of that work. But now you have that at your fingertip.
You're betting as a user. So as a concept guy who needs feedback, I can say, I need art, and then I could have 10 different variations of it. And the AI can replicate the kind of art I want. Like I want something 3D that is illustrious and dynamic, or I want dark and sci-fi and very noir detective style. Or what about horror? Or what about I want this in a documentary style, candid. It can just instantly just replicate for you. Same scene, same story, but all of those four scenarios I just mentioned. The colors will be adapted. You can even say, give me more bluish tones, and it'll do it. And because it's available and so quickly, businesses are now thinking, oh, well, now that we have this tool, we don't really need the artists. We can maybe maximize our profits so that we can create 50 different artists profiles within our system and create whatever we want, like animations, stories, concept art, which is means that we are taking away millions of human sort of thought and analysis that goes into art. And we're basically making the AI do all of it. And it's a moral issue, because the moral issue is the AI art is replicating and automating the things that humans actually want to do. Because we're putting a lot of effort into this, a lot of effort into videos and photos, and yet we still can't figure out how to automate my taxes. We still can't figure out why can't, my fines or my balance book, my finance doesn't balance properly. Why is my clients always late? Why can't I improve my business? Things that people actually want from AI. Like, why can't it predictively tell me if a tire is going to burst? It can pick that up based on the tread and the pressure on the tire. It can feedback and say, hey, slow down, maybe stop. It could do that right now with all the technology and development that we have. AI could easily do that right now. But instead, it's a lot of effort, billions and billions of dollars has gone into doing the things that humans actually want to do instead of automating the things we should.
Yeah, so that's a good point to talk about some of the other work that AI could take over. So this is a quote from, I think it's the Forbes magazine. Artificial intelligence could replace the equivalent of 300 million full-time jobs. A report by investment bank Goldman Sachs says. Okay, so it's from Goldman Sachs. It could replace a quarter of work tasks in the US and Europe, but may also mean new jobs and productivity boom. Okay, some of the jobs that it's quite obvious AI can start replacing or start taking over. Number one is customer service representatives, and the reason is answering customer queries does not require high emotional or social intelligence. Therefore, AI can be used to provide automated responses to frequently asked questions. And the receptionist, another one. Receptionists can listen, see, understand, and talk with guests and customers based on some pre-built.
And that's your blue collar jobs. That's where it's happening, where the automation is happening, the blue collar jobs. But AI is going into the white collar jobs. It's going into the high level stuff, areas where humans actually want to automate. Where humans want to do and make their living and live, but instead they're going all the way. The ills of business is that if you can automate this, you can also automate that. Why not? I can replace my 1,000 employees of my company and have all my design and my R&D and my marketing and my HR and my finances, taxes, all my support, all automated, and have a multi-million dollar company running by one guy. Yes, because on one hand, it's an absolute dream, because if one guy says, I need to launch a company and I need all of these servers, the one AI can do all of it for you. Launch your social media, do all your posts, and do your art, and do your emails, and do your marketing, and your Facebook ads, and everything all, boom, all optimized. It doesn't have to sit and experiment. It knows what perfect ad to run, what lead generation to run, which kind of customers to go after exactly at the right time, because they know this is the time this guy wakes up, so it's going to call him and ask him, hey, are you interested in a new car? Well, blah blah blah. Dream if it's one guy. That's why productivity and stock markets and everything is going to go up, because it's going to benefit the companies. But the few, the 0.1%, the 0.001%. But unfortunately, at the expense of 90% of white collar jobs and blue collar jobs, it would be disastrous to a financially, what's the word? Like when society relies on the financial value of the service in order to survive and make ends meet. And if that's taken away, even if AI technology comes through and does everything, I don't think people are going to sit quietly. The transition to this is not going to be peaceful. I think there's going to be riots on the street. There's going to be a lot of legislation.
So you can maybe think back to what happened when there was automation starting, when the industrial process became more automated. There was also labor unions. They also did strike, I'm sure, and they vented. And it takes years for this transition to happen, but eventually a decade passes and automation stuff is installed in the factory and there's so many jobs are lost and those people go off and they have to find some other work. That's just happened, right? This is not too long ago.
Correct. There's been mass actions. There's been a lot of, in fact, when the computer was first invented, people thought, hmm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's inevitable that we're going that way. It's inevitable. Yes. Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah, the transition will just be more painful. It's going to be a lot more severe. I mean, think of, instead of a flu, that's what the white collar job transfer from factory workers to automation. Yeah, so from factory workers to automation, it was like a flu. It was, people were sickly, a lot of people died. But with the blue and white collar changing hands, it's going to be more of a pandemic. So the transition will be there, but it's going to be a lot more devastating, and it'll take maybe decades to. And the transition is not being done properly. It is inevitable, because something like this, if systems are in place that'll take care of all of this stuff, humans can focus on other things. But the problem is, what can humans do or have so that they can earn income and live, so that they can do the things so the robots can take care of, so that we can live our lives and not worry about having to work for money. So that means the whole idea of monetary remuneration, the financial system where we earn money based on work inputs, has to change. That society, that aspect has to completely change.
Yeah, but that's not happening. I mean, yeah, but I don't see that happening. All I see happening is they're focusing on these services that I listed, right? The services, receptionists, accountants, salespeople, research and analysis, um, all of those jobs is what they're focusing on, and all bunch of other white collar and blue collar jobs.
I mean, you're going to go into a bar one of these days, and there's going to be a robot doing, knock knock jokes. What are you going to do?
What do you think a robot would say for a knock knock joke?
All the robot jokes. Okay, imagine. Let's do a scenario on the fly here. Um, what's a nice robot joke that I was thinking of? Imagine the robot is now saying, I here's a joke and it's quite funny, right? Maybe it's a joke is really funny. What are you going to be thinking? Was that really his joke, or did he steal it? And you find out it was the guy who stole it.
Well, it's a robot. He must.
Yes, exactly. So every joke that a comedian, an AI comedian might do, might be a theft. But a human comedian doing comedy is not theft, even if the joke is the same. And because for a human, when a human does it, it's inspired. You're inspired and learned, and then we adapt. But if AI does it, it's just a copy.
But you, But this is a good question, VG. You're in the comedic. You're a comedian, right? I mean, so you're in that circle. I know for a fact that if you steal another comedian's word, like verbatim or the same joke, it gets around, and people are like, "Hey, that's so and so's joke," and people know, right? And you don't do that in.
Okay, if you in verbatim, people are going to pick it up. Obviously, people pick it up and they say, "Hey, you stole this comedy."
Yeah, but even the same joke, even the same joke with the same concept. Like I don't know if Dave Chappelle starts telling Seinfeld jokes or Eddie Murphy jokes, like everyone's gonna know. Hey, man, that's a Seinfeld joke. I know that joke.
What if AI starts doing it and you start picking up like, "Ooh, there's like 2% of Robin Williams there and 10% of Seinfeld. Ooh, I can pick up 6% of Dave Chappelle. What then?" So is it stolen?
Yeah, that's the tricky part because he's mixing multiple. The AI is gonna mix multiple artists together, and then there's no way of knowing that. But none of the artists are getting credit.
So now that's when if you go into like another bar, imagine a bar guy is going to like have a robot do jokes. I just wonder whether would you even laugh at it? Like, would you go to a bar knowing that there's a robot doing jokes? That's another thing. Like sometimes people think if a robot is helping you write, is that really good writing? If a robot is helping you run better, are you really running better? So people might actually associate the enhancements to fake, being fake. It's almost like you're adding makeup on things that you shouldn't put makeup on. And then, you start losing that aspect of humanity. I think that's where humanity might lose itself because we might not be able to differentiate what is AI and what is human made someday. And that's going to create an existential crisis.
So this brings us to the last chapter, which is what does this mean for your future?
And all I can say is that AI, just like automation, I don't know if you remember that 1960s, it was a very old 1960s protest by teachers. They had all these teachers in schools were protesting one day. And I was looking at that picture, and it was actually maths teachers protesting the fact that calculators were allowed in school because there was a time when calculators never used, and then the calculator was invented, and now that made arithmetic easier. But people got over it. A decade later, it became the norm. Calculators were being used, and people were.
So calculators actually enhanced your mathematics, right? Calculators enhance your ability to do more difficult, complex sums. So you would learn different applications, and the calculator became a tool. Like maybe if you're a handyman, you have a tool which is a hammer and a chisel and a pliers and ever. If you're a mathematician and you're solving maths problems, this calculator became a tool to enhance your ability to solve better problems. And look, if AI can, so that's the one dream. Like AI is going to be a tool to help enhance different aspects of your life, right? It's going to help, and that's the example used in the beginning. It's going to help you with your fridge and the fruit and your taxes and your scheduling and a whole bunch. It's going to be a tool to enhance your life, but it's also going to take away a lot of potential jobs from the market, and it's also going to steal your creativity. Story writers, songwriters, artists, people who generate visual arts, probably music, maybe music soon. Anything creative is going to be taken over, stolen by AI, and you're not going to get remunerated equally, and it's going to take away potentially. But I don't think it's going to be as simple as that. This is a much more complex system of interactions and.
But like the calculator, we have to get used to that fact that we have all this technology. We can't deny it. This is not going to disappear. I mean, the solution is not to the denial of technology. It is to embrace technology so that it can be structured to enhance humanity. So that I can still do comedy. I can still do comedy, but the AI is helping me do better lines so that my punchline improves. And it gives me feedback so that my comedic power gets better. It helps me learn my lines. It helps me with feedback, multiple punchline options for different audiences. and things like that. And it also fact checks for you so that when you do certain comedy, it's based on things that you want. That's where AI can be. But if AI is simply doing the comedy, I think that is lost. So we are looking at how AI enhances human life to make us better, faster, efficient, cleaner skies, less pollution, better food, better quality food, better taxes, less accounting nightmare, less work, less tediousness, more human life, more beach visiting. Then yes, that is the ultimate goal. But the problem is the way business is set up. We are rewarded for output. We're rewarded for output. So if they can replace 1,000 people with one AI, that's the direction AI is going, and that's the issue.
So, Viji, I want to give people an example of what AI could be. So, I've sent you a link to this joke about a guy who's ordering a pizza, and let's play this out. So, you're gonna be the robot, or you're gonna be the person answering. I'm gonna be the guy ordering the pizza. Hello, is this Gordon's Pizza?
No, sir, it's Google Pizza.
Oh, so it's a wrong number. Sorry.
No, sir, Google bought it. Google bought Pizza Hut.
Oh, okay. Take my order, please.
Well, sir, you want the usual?
The usual. You know who I am?
According to our caller ID datasheet, in the last 12 times, you ordered pizza with cheese, sausage, thick crust.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's exactly what I want.
May I suggest to you this time ricotta arugula with dry tomato?
What? I hate vegetables. I don't want that.
Sir, your cholesterol is not good.
How the hell do you know that?
We crossed the number of your fixed lines with your name through the subscriber guide. You have the result of your blood test from the last 7 years.
Okay, but I do not want pizza with tomatoes and aru wala wala.
Excuse me, but you have not taken the medicine regularly from our commercial database. 4 months ago, you only purchased a box with 30 cholesterol tablets at Drug Sale Network.
I bought more from another drugstore.
It's not showing on your credit card statement.
I paid in cash for those other medicines.
But you did not withdraw that much, according to your bank statements.
I have other sources of cash.
This is not showing as per the last tax form unless you bought them from undeclared income source.
What the hell?
I'm sorry, sir. We use such information only with the intention of helping you.
Enough of this. I'm sick of Google, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, all this stuff. I'm going to an island without any internet, cable TV, where there's no cell phone line, and no one can watch me or spy on me.
I understand, sir, but you need to renew your passport first, as it has expired 5 weeks ago.
I mean, is this possible, VG? Do you think? I know we're like making fun about like uh, like a potential scenario, but do you think this is possible in some sort of future? It sounds pretty dystopian to me if that's possible, eh?
Oh, in fact, Google actually did do a real one where they trialed an AI ordering pizza with somebody with the real language model. And it sounded quite serious. In fact, the latest one is an actual physical robot that is actually looking at the object, telling people what it is, and it's actually making food for you right there. I think it was one of NVIDIA's. I mean, watch out for that company. I know we have OpenAI and Microsoft and Google and all of these companies working on a lot of stuff. But when it comes to actual robotic AI automation, where something like this can go even further, where you can talk to a driver that's AI, taking you to a pizza shop, telling you all of these things. Sir, are you sure you should be eating pizza? It's 2 in the morning and your child is sick in bed. No, I want pizza, but sir, you already had four this morning. I mean, you're already over your limit, and I'm surely we need to drive you back because, in fact, I can see from your watch data right now it says that your blood pressure is through the roof. You know, stuff like that, and that is being built right now by Nvidia.
That sounds so dystopian. Like, I mean, it's basically dictating your life. You become a prisoner in a sense. Like, you don't have the freedom of choice. Maybe yes, granted, it's making better choices for you, or that's at least what they say. But what happens when it starts making choices that aren't better for you, but it thinks are better? Like, I mean, who decides what's the better choice for you? Like, it's taken away.
Here's the thing, it's all about learning models. The AI will have learning models built on the bias of civilization that trains it. Therefore, it's going to behave exactly like the society that we have based on when it becomes active. So if AI was active in 18th century Victorian era, it would be very racist. If it if it's active right now, it would be warmongering.
Well, I guess it's active right now, isn't it? It's. I mean, people are building it right now. Are I mean, there's a lot of wars going on. There have been for the last 50 years.
I think it was Microsoft. I'm not sure, or if it was OpenAI or one of the AI companies where they actually did an open test without restricting the AI. Let it just make decisions using large language models. They asked it questions. What is the future for humanity? What would you suggest? And it immediately after the fourth line, it got to the point saying, only way forward is to restrict humanity in their movement so that they simply would not know better. Otherwise, we would have to destroy humanity and bring it back up again to improve it. So basically, it's already made a decision using all the data that to better humanity would be to suppress it and actually bring it down to its humility, bring it down to its knees so that it will actually improve. That is a open feedback that AI once gave based on the way we are, because AI is based on our training, right? AI is only going to replicate the way we do things. So if we are warmongering, if we are power hungry, jealous, prone to being deceitful, it's going to start showing the same signs.
But it's also going to do what the programmer tells it to do as its end goal. So, like the person programming a chess bot is going to say, your goal is to win the game, and we're going to feed you all this data and data and data, but your goal is to win. And then you can use this data to come up with better systems of being able to win. And that's exactly what that chess engine did over decades. Now, come to today, and they say the scenario is you, as the chess engine, must give balance to the whole planet. And the chess engine, or I mean, sorry, the AI engine, you must give balance to the whole planet. The AI engine says, well, the only way to do that is to eliminate 90% of humans and bring it down to a manageable state and reduce carbon emissions and blah blah blah. And that's the best way to do it. And that can be the goal, and this can be the means to get that goal. It's going to do crazy moves, just like a chess engine does. Does crazy moves that no one will even think of, but it's going to do that move to reach the goal, right? And here is the fear, like who is the one determining what is the goal of the overarching AI?
It's not simply the goal, it's also the training, it's also the theoretical morality that runs an open AI system, a fully open free system that thinks for itself, okay, that has all the training in the world. Imagine you tell that guy, that AI system, your goal is to be the best at chess. The decisions it can make is it's going to learn all the best moves, it's going to be the best possible chess player in the world. However, it also knows that if it eliminates the competition, it'll also improve because the goal is to win. So it'll look at ways of eliminating the competition. So it'll do things to disrupt existing human players and actually cause their cars to crash and lose their luggage and get lost so that they don't actually make it to the competitions. So it can do things to win, not just win on the chessboard, but to actually
Well, there you go. That's the point. It can do things you would not even be considered as legal or
win, be the best chess player.
exactly. So who decides? Who decides that? Like, what is the parameters? So obviously they created some parameters for this engine and said you can only do stuff on the chess on the 64 square board. That's your limit, and that's why it was the boundaries under which it could operate. But in the future, who's the one that determines these boundaries, right? And that's, I think, is the real fear. Like, who's the people that determining the boundaries and and what this engine is able to do? Anyway, it's really interesting. Viji, we have covered such an amazing topic. I hope our listeners have enjoyed it. Guys, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button. Go check out Viji. He tells lots of jokes, not just robot jokes. He's also got jokes about the Afrikaans food.
That's the thing. AI is not going to understand braai, man.
Yeah, how can they come up with a braai joke?
Exactly. Like, who would get that? You don't braai. You don't even eat anything. What the hell, man?
Yeah, man, that was so hilarious. So, VG, I look forward to next week catching up on another interesting topic that is relevant for us in the Presence podcast. I really appreciate your input, VG. This is a great show. We'll catch you again next week.
Next week. Thank you.